Well, it's 4 o'clock.
Will now be
There
recorded.
is tonight is that somebody who wants to talk to me?
No, that was.
Somebody said a question already? We have court at 5 o'clock. It's a brief agenda items. There are two really important bits of business. Well, one's really important bit of business. One is a chance for us to pay last minute bills for this year. So let's stand for the pledge and start that out. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I hope you all had a nice, this is probably, I can't remember when we last had an actual white Christmas day, but it's beautiful weather, but it may turn on us, but it's nice to see snow and cold weather. Except for I had to check the basement in my rear cabin back there because the pipes have blown a couple times and things like that. And nobody's there right now. So the first thing is on the agenda is the revised short-term rental application. Now, this has been handed out and it's been reviewed and gone over back and forth between Laura and Doug. And I thank them both for putting in the time and effort to make it better. I think they both sort of agreed, and we would like to adopt this as the permit going forward, effective after this meeting, so Doug can use this with the next term of short-term rental thing. So, is there any discussion on you want to have on it, Laura?
Thank you. I think that it flows well with the written law, and he did add in the tax ID and the property of the address as well as the permit number on it, and his contact information. He made some really great edits, and we just kind of rearranged some things, but I think it will match now, and it's a little more cumbersome, but it checks all the boxes that we have listed in the law. So,
okay. So we'll make a motion to adopt that as going forward, that we'll use this as our short-term rental permit, and we'll get a copy on our website.
did you guys have a chance to review it?
So is there a motion?
One second.
If I made
I'll make it. No, I thought you did.
You
but
make the motion.
I'll make the motion.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion on it? Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The next is the claims audit budget transfer. It's the year-end expenditures. I'm going to draw attention to it's now classified under an attorney item, but it's not an attorney item. We received a bill from MJ Engineering for $16,000 for the preliminary site work done at the Homestead Housing the Adirondack Roots project. We are required to pay that, and then we get reimbursed by the Northern Borders grant people. So the county has asked me if I could send them the bill and so that we prove it, and then they'll submit the claim. And last year, when the Corning property was purchased, the town paid out the purchase price, and the Northern Borders grant, the federal government got the money to us in January. So it's not waiting for months, which sometimes may happen with some of the state grants. They tend to be pretty prompt with that. So that's in there as well, and that's for $16,000. We still have, I'd say, $7,000 more in the grant to spend. I don't think that's a final bill from MJ Engineering. I was sort of thought Christmas came early when I saw it first, thinking that's the final bill, and it's not $25,000, it's $16,000. But anyway, so they're working on that, and eventually, hopefully, they'll have preliminary plans, and they'll start going in front of the planning board and the zoning board of appeals and continuing to move on that process. But this is the first thing they need to get paid for. The other thing is the legal bills from Miller Mannix. Miller Mannix are our special counsel. We asked them to opine on a question that was submitted by the KOA applicants
I asked for $1,000 in to cover against the town's legal expense. They gave us $1,000, and the bill came in at $650. So we can cover that with the amount of money that they gave us in escrow. That will be paid today. I'm going to hold the extra $350 for a little while before we return it to KOA, just in case something comes up with a question from the planning board on it. And then the other one for Miller Mannix is they were representing us this year with the small claims and the Article 7 tax certiorari cases. We have one assessor. Devin was elected last November, and he's brand new. And when we did the townwide reevaluation, Fonzie stayed until July. Blanche had left, late spring. And so Devin was the sole assessor, and he's still the sole assessor. And then we got sued with a number of these suits. So we used Miller Mannix to help him out. In the past, small claims assessment reviews are typically handled by the assessor, but without Fonzie and his long experience, I just wondered whether Devin would have been more comfortable having somebody to bounce things off of like that. So that's the last bill from those lines of cases. And that will come out of the general fund. Apart from that, though, the rest of them are all pretty much standard bills. So can I have a resolution to approve that claims audit and any budget transfers and to pay those year-end bills?
I'll make it.
Darren makes it. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just had a question about the,
Go ahead.
why it wasn't, don't we have Jen Briggs for
She
Our
doesn't.
town attorney?
She doesn't go to court.
Okay.
So, yeah. Apart from that, though, and also with the KOA, the attorney, he charges pretty much the same rate as Jen, and his name's Mark Shackner, and he teaches at all the continuing, any planning board training and things like that. He's a real expert. So I figured with that kind of important question, we would go with the specialist for the KOA application. And at $650, that's pretty good. But no, Jen, I would see. I've got sort of Jen in mind for if we have to do a road dedication and things like that. She does a lot of that work for us pretty well. Any other questions, discussions about the bills? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, so now we have public comment on the agenda. Anybody have any questions or things like that? How was your Christmas?
Good, good. The only thing I was here for, you're going through the executive session, so.
That's correct, but we'll be coming out of it at some point. And I think if we're coming out and we're taking action, here.
What we can do a favor so they don't have to leave is we can do the executive session in your office and
Yep.
then let people stay.
Okay, yeah, fine with me.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
About from your last meeting, which I wasn't here for, but I saw the video. The water department, you were going to raise that a certain amount per person or per household.
Mhm.
Anyway, and then because you're lacking some money, you decided to go another $10 per household, right? So is the water district budget in the red? Are they over budget?
No, I think what we're trying to do, so for years, Wilmington has kept its residential water rates pretty flat
Right.
and low compared to all the other towns that you look around, you get paid $900 a year and things like that. What how Wilmington has managed to do this is they use the tax levy on everybody's taxes to help fund the water district. So everybody in town is paying for the water districts as a tax
So
levy.
people who are out of the water district were also paying.
Yes. So theoretically, as I understand it, what they like to see districts do is pay for themselves.
Let's not,
I think
just
we-
back up.
I think we weren't, I don't
Correct
think it was.
That's not exactly true. It's not people out of the district, but it's people that's not paying water rent. So if you have a bare piece of land and you're in the water district, you still got taxed because you're in the water district.
Right, even though you're not using.
Correct. So that's,
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
no, you can finish saying, I just wanted to clear that
That
up.
was a good explanation.
Yeah, so I think basically the idea is that through the water rates, you use as much of the water rates to pay for the expense of the district as you can.
Mhm.
And so Wilmington the first jump is going to be, the first step is a doozy for us because we're starting from an $80 per, what is it?
90 currently
For
for 6 months.
6 months. So it's $180, which isn't really up to covering the expense of our water districts. And so we have to start moving that up at some point and using less of the tax levy for that reason.
My thought was, when you needed more money in the budget, you were trying to figure out where to get it from. I wondered why the people in the water district were the ones who are gonna pay for that needed amount rather than
Can I
everybody.
take it there?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there was two parts to the raise in the water district.
Mhm.
One, Eddie has a lot of expenses coming up over the next couple of years for upgrading equipment and things like that. So he requested his budget be raised about $15,000. So the first bump in water rates was just to cover the money that Eddie's gonna need coming up. But that only covered that. And then we also wanted to try to lower the tax levy. So by adding the $15,000 in there, the tax levy basically stayed the same. We didn't change taxes, but we didn't lower the taxes at all.
But the money for the water district really wasn't necessarily needed for the water district.
Yes.
And I don't think that's quite right.
What do you mean?
Because you're saying the first jump would cover everything that the water district needed. But then you needed more money in the total budget.
No, but but what it did is basically, so if your tax rate on the water part of the budget was $2 per thousand on just the water part, by raising it, now we're only taxing you, the taxpayer, or anybody else, $1.85 per thousand. So it lowered the tax rate for anybody in the water district. And that's what brought down the tax increase, because we brought down the tax rate by raising rates instead. So if we normally would have charged you $2 per thousand, now it's only $1.85, which now we're not doing a 3.7% increase and went to a 3.5% increase in the tax budget, or whatever it may have been.
And that's beyond flat rate, that's what you're saying, or what?
That's just what everybody gets on their tax bill. Everybody's tax bill has a certain, that's in the water district, has a certain thing, and it's X amount of money per thousand. So by charging, we wouldn't have to do that. Say, we could completely eliminate the tax rate part of it if we paid for the whole water district in just rents. But we say that's not fair because the fire hydrants, service locations that aren't in the water district, like that have water, like we have to have the capacity to supply water to a vacant lot, even though it doesn't have it, but in the future. So it's only fair to charge Bear property a certain amount of water rate as well. So the tax rate just went down per thousand, and that's how that second part of it happened.
Okay, no, I'm still.
I don't know how to explain it any different.
Eddie's chemicals have doubled in cost.
Pardon?
Eddie's chemicals to
Okay.
treat
So-
the water have doubled in cost.
If I'm following all this, the first jump was for upcoming expenses that we
Correct.
know are coming.
Correct.
The second is just to keep track to help out with the costs that are going up to
They've
run the
gone up
place.
so much.
Well, it's to help with the tax rate. So rather than raising the tax rate
Right,
for your
but the
guys'
money,
rents.
but the money you're coming out of that is going back into the water
Right.
I
district.
think what she's getting at is that the overall tax rate of the town dropped because rather than assessing a tax rate on the water district, you just did rent, which lowered the overall tax rate of the town.
But all the money that's being raised is going for the water.
It's strictly for water.
Yes.
A budget increases, Nancy, if your tax rate goes up for water, that raises your budget cap as well. Not just water, but as a reflection on the whole budget for the town, it raises the cap. I think that's what you're looking at, right? You're saying it lowered the cap.
I think because the way it was explained, like you're looking for more money for the budget without, taking it from somewhere else. So he went ahead and went to the water district and started, and raised the.
Because otherwise there was going to be a raise in the water district tax part as well. So rather than raising taxes in the water district, it was done through rates.
Okay. All right, I guess it was just seemed a little odd to me, the way.
It should have been done the other way, but the rest of the board or some of the board did not want to raise tax rate anymore. That way everybody in the water district would have paid part of it. But the way it's done now, only people using water take the hit because they didn't want to raise the tax rate anymore. So that was the only option that we had. It would have been more fair the other way, but that's not the option that the board wanted to do by some of the members, so.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, it was broached to the board as though we have been under what local communities have been charging for water, used it as a selling point to increase the amount of money that we had in the revenue. That's how it was broached.
But
It was
we
never
wanted-
that we,
100%.
okay.
100% that the tax rate was too high, and that was one of the ways to get the tax rate down.
Okay, well, so the budget's passed. Any other public comment at this time? Yes, Randy?
How much did the budget go over the cap?
Approximately 1.7%.
Just curious.
Okay. Everybody getting their bills now, I assume, or so.
I mailed them today. I'll be getting it shortly.
Thanks a lot, Dawn.
I waited till after
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
No, I waited till after Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yeah. That's when I have to have them to you. For New Year's.
Okay, so may I have a motion to go into executive session, and we can go into my little space.
Make
Second.
second.
Okay. Nicole, will you come with us, please? Would you join us?
So you don't need me now, bigger?
No, we'll talk about it. We'll come back out because
Okay.
everyone's here.
That's fine.
This conference will now be recorded.
Did you get an extension?
Yes,
You pick it on your wife? Or partner?
that's my elderly sister.
Oh, sorry.
That's my other elderly sister.
Sorry.
Call us back at 7.
Yes,
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
second. Okay, so
Great.
Tina seconded, so we've just come out of executive session. There's been some discussion before that we were looking for the same sort of part-time town employee who would also work as an EMT the way the town has done it for a while. We asked and interviewed with Carissa Gray, and we are favorably disposed towards making her an offer. So the condition was that the board approve it and that Carissa obtain her licensing. So what we've decided to do is we're going to give Carissa a call, and she's going to meet with Charlie and I because the board feels that how to structure the conditions, to get her to the point where she's passed the license and things like that, so she can start her job on the 6th of January. So we're going to give her a call tomorrow, talk to her a little bit more about what the offer is. And that's it.
And the good news is that she's already in class and should be done by the end of January.
Yeah, so it shouldn't take very long. She'll succeed at it. I just want to make sure she understands what we're proposing. Anything from the board on that topic? Have I messed any of that up? Okay.
So do we have to make an actual resolution that we're extending the offer to Carissa for?
Yeah, because, well, she's going to, we don't meet again. Our organizational meeting is like late, January 14th or something like that. So we'd like to get her on board on the 6th. So we may end up doing something sort of special after Charlie and I talk. I'll let the board know how it
Well, couldn't
goes.
we do a resolution tonight based upon,
Or
her
Okay.
accepting the conditions?
Okay, So go ahead, somebody.
I'll make the resolution that we can move forward with hiring Carissa Gray based upon the conditions set forth between the fire department and the town.
Any discussion? You okay? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you, Charlie.
I know I don't count, but
Carried, so that's good. So that way we don't have the that awkward, we don't have a meeting until January 14th problem for us, and we don't have to try to meet again. Thank you. Anyone else have anything you want to talk about tonight?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
And just to clear up the reason we did ask Charlie to come in was because he was part of the original discussion of the hire process being a commissioner. Because that job this year.
Because you're doing yours, we've already offered it on our side with the condition that she's got to
Just
pass.
so everybody understands why we invited him in.
Well, thank you.
If she doesn't get her EMT, there is no job.
Oh, she'll get her.
Oh, she's
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
get
no
it.
doubt about that, no doubt about that.
There's no question.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. We have a motion to adjourn.
There you go.
No second.
Gary. Thanks, everybody. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Did you get that email of the officers?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm available if you need me, but probably won't be in town. But if I need to be in town, I can be in town.
No, I'm not in town. Well, I'm in town. I'm not going anywhere